News segments.
Going to jazz it up a little bit.
Well, all right. This is the news. The cannabis news. I'm Rick Thompson. It's like July 9th or something like that, 2018.
Jazz Cabbage Cafe.
January 9th. Jazz Cabbage Cafe. I know.
I'm overtrust.
I'm in a summer state of mind. Let's talk about some news from around the nation, courtesy of Marijuana Business Daily. Indiana apologizes to 50 businesses they cited because they were selling CBD. Indiana authorities are apologizing to about 50 businesses after regulators erroneously cited them for selling illegal CBD products. Letters were sent despite assurances by state officials that store owners would not be penalized until CBD's legal status is settled, buyers. Indiana's Alcohol and Tobacco Commission sent the citation letters just before Christmas. Oh, that's so nice. The letters notified businesses they were being fined hundreds of dollars for violations called, possession of marijuana and unlawful manufacture, distribution, or possession of counterfeit substance for selling CBD oil. And, of course, Indiana has been debating the legality of CBD for months. State passed a law allowing CBD oils for people with certain medical conditions. But the law, they say, is unclear about whether hemp-derived CBD is illegal. The Alcohol and Tobacco Commission told the TV station store owners receiving CBD citations will not face penalties after all.
Oh, shit.
Yep, Canadian companies, Canadian cannabis companies with U.S. operations. That was the sound effect? That wasn't Jamie just being mad at my statements? Canadian companies with cannabis operations in the United States must disclose risks. An exchange in Canada dominated by marijuana stocks has listed companies with U.S. operations to publicly detail any risks they face after Attorney General Jeff Sessions' decision to scrap protections for state legal cannabis businesses. The chief executive officer of the Canadian Securities Exchange told Marijuana Business Daily that the exchange contacted all of the CSE-listed companies with U.S. exposure. It advised them to provide a public comment on the impact the Sessions decision could have on their businesses. See, even talking about it, Jeff Sessions, has a ripple effect that you just don't appreciate, you little gnome. 56 of the CSE's 343 listed securities are in the medical marijuana business, and 17 of those have operations in the United States. Companies listed in the CSE are free to participate in the American marijuana industry, provided they meet risk disclosure requirements, because, cannabis remains illegal at a federal level in the United States. In an email statement Friday, the Canadian Securities Administrator said it had no update to a staff notice issued in October outlining specific disclosure expectations for cannabis companies. Now, Rhode Island, considering that could have also been a Jamie comment on my
That
news.
really was.
I thought that one was labeled as pooper. I thought it was going to be more like...
And you chose that one out of the whole list. Pooper.
God.
Good.
That was perfect.
Rhode Island, considering medical marijuana deliveries.
I got a good one.
Fearful of how recreational legalization in neighboring Massachusetts could affect their businesses, Rhode Island's 3 medical marijuana dispensaries are pushing state regulators to let them start delivering to their patients. Rhode Island regulators are apparently in favor of medical marijuana deliveries. They're preparing to review the dispensary's proposals, according to the Providence Journal. Both sides are waiting for the development of a mobile app that will let the state's new marijuana seed-to-sale system also be capable of tracking sales made via delivery, and the new app will likely be ready later on this year.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
I do.
I was talking to them.
It's not the first time that guy's called me a motherfucker.
Rhode Island's a small state, but they could probably use more than 3.
I would think 3 and a delivery service out of 3 dispensaries. Man, they're going to need 1 million drivers. That's going to be a crazy situation.
That's interesting. Hey, Saskatchewan, let's go back to Canada. Saskatchewan gives cannabis rec sales and wholesale to the private sector. Oh, no. Saskatchewan's adult-use marijuana will be sold in private brick-and-mortar stores and online, the government announced, giving entrepreneurs in the cannabis space more opportunities when sales begin this summer, which means they're adopting more of an American-style proposal. Yay. Saskatchewan is the last Canadian province to announce their plans for marijuana sales, but major decisions on home cultivation, taxation, minimum age for cannabis consumption, and public use regulations are still up in the air. Saskatchewan, the whole thing's got a population of about 1.1 million people, will issue about 60 retail permits to private operators in the first 12 to 18 months, with potentially more to come, depending upon demand. And both wholesale and retail of cannabis will be conducted by private sector, regulated by Saskatchewan Liquor and Gaming Authority, according to a government news release.
Those crazy, lovable Canadians.
You know, they always dress so warmly,
Yeah.
right? And we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but Detroit did freeze medical marijuana business licensing process. Yep, that's a good sound effect for that. They let the air out of the balloon.
What the fuck is going on in Detroit?
Detroit's delaying action on new medical marijuana licenses because of a pending lawsuit prompting fears that about 60 dispensaries in the city will have to close their doors to go from 300 to 0. That's a bad move. The lawsuit was filed by 7 to 10 businesses that were denied medical marijuana dispensary licenses due to zoning issues, the Detroit Free Press reports. The businesses say the city denied the licenses using the outdated zoning rules. Now, a lawyer for the city wrote in a memo to other Detroit officials that it would be, quote, wasteful and confusing to the public, unquote, to process marijuana applications until the lawsuit is resolved. Yeah, but probably demanded by law. Michigan has set a February 15th deadline for prospective medical marijuana companies to apply for business licenses, and that application period began December 15th. If Detroit won't accept applications, the dispensaries currently doing business under an old city ordinance would have to close by February 15th. That's 1 month from now. That's according to the Free Press. Detroit marijuana business owners suspect the city is stalling. Quote, their plan all along was not to take the applications, so nobody could stay open, said Michael Stein, the guy who's suing them and causing this whole problem in the first place. Detroit voters decided last year to roll back restrictive zoning ordinances, blamed for the closure of at least 186 dispensaries.
Yeah.
Cue sound effect.
It's no sound effect.
I love the cock.
Nice cock.
I
That's
had,
not
I had
what
the
I-
Chewbacca lined up, but it
That's a
didn't
really
play.
bad one.
Gotta
I should
loud.
not have said that. Last story of the day. Etienne gets an okay to produce expanded medical marijuana line in New York State. The New York medical marijuana company Etienne is the first to receive state approval to expand the product line. They can now make goods like lozenges, flour ground for vaporizers, but not for smoking, those dirty bastards. The New York Daily News says the company hopes to have new products available by March. Regulators recently okayed expanding the product line in hopes of providing a boost to a New York program that's been slow to get on its feet because you pass some stupid laws, idiots. The state program has been constrained by a limited number of business permits. Only 5 licensed companies are operating so far, and 5 more are expected throughout the entire year of 2018. And by the way, there's a decided lack of patient and doctor participation, too. Here's what you need to know. Etienne will produce a water-soluble marijuana powder. That's weird. A health department spokesman said that the products still need to undergo rigorous testing before they can be sold. And New York's medical marijuana program has about 40,000 certified patients, about 1/6 of what we have here in the great state of Michigan. And that is it for the Cannabis News. It's Rick Thompson, January 9, 2018. See ya.